The government, which has had a rocky start, has been trying to turn things around and win over some of the world's biggest businesses.
Yeah, the Prime Minister has claimed its International Investment Summit yesterday secured tens of billions of pounds of private funding for various UK projects.
But many business leaders will also be closely watching what happens to taxes when the budget is announced later this month. Let's speak to our chief political correspondent, Henry Zeffman, who is on Downing Street. Morning, Henry.
Morning, Sally. Well, yes, I am in Downing Street, and who better to be joined by in Downing Street than the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning.
You're clearly very happy with how the investment summit went yesterday. Can you just tell us, how will breakfast viewers' lives improve as a result of those investments?
Well, what happened yesterday is we had an investment summit where global investors from across the world came to Britain. These are investors with a huge amount of capital to invest, but that can choose where they invest it. We made the case that now is the time to invest in Britain. And yesterday we were able to announce £63 billion of inward investment into Britain. And for viewers, what that means is investment into projects that are secure jobs in every part of the country. Because for me, I want economic growth, I want our economy to work better, but I also want it to be felt in the pockets of working people in all parts of the United Kingdom. Not
well, let's
in the past,
So,
we've had a project where they come into bits of Britain, but not all of Britain. This is about jobs across the whole of Britain.
Okay, so on a specific
it's a good day for
housing,
the country.
you're talking about housing investment today. One of those investments, £550 million, that's a lot of money. But you look at one of those funds, and that's just talking about 5,000 new social homes when there's 1 million households on social housing waiting lists. Isn't this just kind of small beer?
Well, look, yesterday £63 billion announced. Today, £500 million extra on top of that. This is for housing for all parts of the country. And that is really important because, again, investors choosing that now is the time to invest in Britain. We've said as a government we're going to fix the foundations, rebuild our country, and expressly saying now is the time to back us. Companies and investors coming in today saying, here's £500 million. We want to raise that, by the way. I want that to be up over £1 billion before too long. But that's for houses around the country, because for too many people, and some people watching this, particularly young people, want to get on the housing ladder because they know that owning your own home is sort of base camp for their aspirations in life. They haven't had that for many years because the last government failed. We're determined to knock away the obstacles on this, whether it's planning or anything else, but also take the opportunities. And these are the opportunities for housing for many people who can't afford to own their own home.
OK, another investment, pharmaceuticals. Is it your view, like the health secretaries, that weight loss drugs could play a big role in solving worklessness and economic inactivity?
I think these drugs could be very important for our economy and for health. Again, the story behind this is really interesting. Here's one of the biggest pharmaceutical businesses, pharma companies, that's decided now's the time to put the investment into our country. This is consistent with our pitch, which is, now's the time to invest in Britain. Doing their research here, this drug will be very helpful to people who want to lose weight, need to lose weight. Very important for the economy so that people can get back into work. Very important for the NHS because, as I've said time and again, yes, we need more money for our NHS, but we've got to think differently. We've got to reduce the pressure on the NHS. So this will help in all of those areas. But whether it's the £63 billion, whether it's the housing £500 million, pharma companies coming in, what's happening is because we're saying so clearly we're going to fix the foundations, rebuild our country, stable economy, investors are hearing that around the globe and they're coming to Britain to invest. This is so good for our country.
But is there not a bit of a tension there? You're strikingly optimistic about the long-term housing, long-term investment in pharmaceuticals, long-term reform to the NHS. But what can you tell breakfast viewers about how in the short term their lives are going to improve because of decisions that you and your government are making?
Oh, well, just take that £63 billion worth of investment. That is coming in. And what I want to do is make sure that translates into jobs, well-paid, secure jobs in different parts of the country. And, so many people say to me, what I want is a secure job, a well-paid job, a skilled job that's going to last, for decades to come. And I want that for me and for my family, my children, and my children's children. So this is about rebuilding the country. But many times, if there's been investment into this country, and there hasn't been enough, frankly, in recent years, it's gone only to some places. The North East, the North West, parts of Scotland and other places have not felt the benefit. What we're doing is getting the investment in, but also being clear, it's got to be in different parts of the country. So I was very pleased with the investment yesterday, the 63 billion, to be able to identify where are those jobs going to be in the country, because for people watching and listening, they will want to know, how does this help me? How do I feel better
on
off?
that, and I mean, I think one thing people watching will be thinking about is the budget, of course, which is coming in just over 2 weeks. Now, I know if I ask you about specifics,
I'm not going to get
but I'm going to
drawn on
ask
the
you
details.
something slightly different, which is about the manifesto, which had you, sleeves rolled up on the front cover, about 30 photos of you throughout it. So you're the best person to clear up for us and for the country some confusion. Did your manifesto rule out increasing any rate of national insurance, employers or employees, or was it merely talking about ruling out increasing the employees' rate?
We were very clear in the manifesto that we wouldn't be increasing tax on working people, and we expressly said that that was income tax, that was NICs, etc. So we set that out in the manifesto.
But NICs just for employees?
Well, it's very clear from the manifesto that what we were saying is we're not going to raise tax for working people. And it wasn't just the manifesto, we said it repeatedly in the campaign. And we intend to keep the promises that we made in our manifesto. So I'm not going to reveal to you the details of the budget. You know that that's not possible at this stage. What I will say is, where we made promises in our manifesto, we'll be keeping those promises. This is going to be a manifesto that is going to be tough. It's going to be a budget that's going to be tough, of course, but the focus will be on rebuilding our country and ensuring that we get the growth we need in our economy. And so it's consistent with the summit that we had yesterday and this money that is now coming in, which will be a real game changer for our country.
Just finally, you're standing here in the street with me, slightly unusual. I can't think of prime ministers who've done that before. I'm very grateful for it, by the way.
And it's not raining.
And it's not raining. Usually, by the way, I'm standing here and it is raining, but you know, it's nice that you've brought the sunshine. Is it the fact that you're here with me a recognition that in the first 100 days you perhaps didn't communicate with the country in quite the right way? Are you trying to change the way you tell the public what you're doing?
Well, what we did in the first 100 days was take very important first steps on change, whether that was National Wealth Fund, which we set up to get investment into the country, whether it was taking railways back into public ownership, setting up GB Energy. We were getting on with the change that we needed. We were also doing something really important, which was making the case for investment into our country. For me, that's the most important thing, because we know the economy was broken by the last government. We know we don't have sort of never-ending public money available to us. So what we've got to do is be smart, create the conditions in which global investors want to come to Britain to invest in our country. And I'm so pleased that yesterday the hard work of just over 100 days came to fruition with that £63 billion of investment. And that is real jobs in the places where people watching this live, because I want those jobs, well-paid jobs, to be in their place so that they have a better future, their family has a better future. That's why I came into politics. That's why I'm really glad to be heading this government.
Prime Minister, thank you very much. Well, you heard there a Prime Minister who is clearly very optimistic about the investment that he announced yesterday, but also very much not ruling out, as we look to the budget in a fortnight's time, increasing the employer's rate of national insurance. There's a cabinet meeting just now that the Prime Minister is going to go in and chair about what measures are going to be in that budget. We'll be watching very closely. Ben, Sally, back to you.
Henry, really good to hear that this morning. Thank you. Interesting stuff there. But yeah, we'll keep a close eye on that budget at the end of the month.
It's interesting listening to every single word there, trying to
it's
read.
used.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.